It is with great pleasure that we welcome you to today's episode of Tax Matters. My name is Olumuyiwa Matuluko. How's your week been and how's business going? We do hope you are paying your taxes as and when due. It pays to pay your tax. It is your badge of identity as a good citizen of Nigeria. And talking about paying taxes, when you have to part with money, that is, when any tier of government, be it local, state or federal government, or an agency of government approaches you or levies you a charge or whatever, how do you describe them? Do you call everything taxes? Are you aware there are some are just charges, there are some are just levies? To answer these questions, we have a big fish in the house, a director at the Federal Revenue Service, a man that is referred to as Professor, Prof. He is actually the incumbent president of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, and currently is the technical advisor to the executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. We are talking about Mr. M.A.C Dike. Mr. Dike, you are welcome to Tax Matters.
Thank you, Miwa.
What are charges? What are levies? What are taxes? Or are they all taxes?
Thank you very much. Absolutely not at all. All of them are not taxes. But because the main payment, if I may use that expression, that people make to government is tax. Every other thing that government demands of citizens, they have a tendency to call that also tax. But try to isolate, even though people will tell you that whether you call it tax, whether you call it levy, whether you call it a charge, at the end of the day, all the payments are going to one source, government, whether it is the government as a juristic person or through its agencies as ministries, departments, and parastatals. And again, too, this money is also leaving one person's pocket. So it doesn't make any difference.
As I'm concerned, I'm parting with money.
Parting with money to a government. But in a more technical sense, tax is defined as a compulsory exaction imposed by the sovereign upon the citizens. And putting it the other way around, it is an obligation, a payment obligation, which citizens voluntarily agree to pay to the sovereign for the provision of common goods and services. Why I say it's voluntary is that, at the end of the day, government is a creation of the citizens and not the other way around. Government does not create itself. Government does not create, citizens. It is citizens that were there first before a government, came into the picture. Tax, which is a compulsory exaction, is paid without reference to the benefit the individual who pays that tax derives. It is not in direct proportion. Some people may be wealthy and therefore can pay a big amount of tax. Some people will be poor and pay a small amount of tax. Like, again, the Bible, the widow's mite is as big and important as the billionaires' billions. The billionaires' billions. So having now paid that, which is a compulsory exaction, they now have, levies can therefore be imposed because tax may not always be sufficient to do all that need to be done. So government can impose what they call levies, which is different from tax, for particular purpose.
For particular
purpose. It is not, like tax that you must pay on a year-to-year basis, on the basis of income that you have earned. But levy can be imposed. Like if you look at Nigeria, after the military came back in December 1983, they now started what they call air travel levy. Remember, air travel levy. If you are not, and it's imposed not on everybody, but for particular people.
Those who are making use of the airports, those who are traveling by air.
If they are imposing Toll. Toll for those who drive own vehicle, or either for personal use, private use, or for commercial purpose.
Pass through that particular road.
You pay. If you don't pass the road, like you look at the Lekki Plaza, they had to construct. Some people objected to that levy, toll this thing, and then they had to construct bypass for such people. So they now avoid paying that daily toll.
There's an alternative route.
That's right. Then when I talk about charges, charges are like user fee. User fee. Like you pay a water rate because you are using water. You pay electricity bills. It's a charge.
User charges.
User charges.
It's clearer now. But we find that in recent times, a lot of the friction has revolved around what people pay to local government authorities. Why do you think people revolt so much against the local governments? What really are the taxing powers of the local governments?
Local governments don't have any taxing power in our constitution.
Say that again, sir.
They don't have any taxing power.
Local governments don't.
They don't have authority to impose any tax. It's only divided by the constitution, section 4 too. It's only the National Assembly that can make law for taxation. But states and local government can make, edicts. It's for state government and local government bylaws for things like user charges. User charges, they can impose a levy, a development levy or whatever. They can do that. But it must be specific. Tax is a general issue on income, but levies are specific. Charges are specific.
Okay. So market levy, yes. Parking lots, slaughter slab.
If you don't park, then I said, okay, that road, Ajayi Road, is no free parking area.
Okay.
That, like they do, in London and all these other places, they have their meter. If you park, you must slot in the money. Otherwise, they will change your vehicle.
Okay.
Yes, they can do that, but not to impose tax.
So
it is a service delivery related.
Service delivery related.
Yes.
It must be specific.
More specific.
It's for parking. It's for using the slaughter slab. It's for using
and they must deliver that particular service.
They have no taxing powers.
They don't have taxing powers under the Constitution.
But the local governments are running riot all over the country.
Well, they can impose levies, but certainly not tax.
But who controls their power to impose levies?
That's why I have taxes and levies approved list of collection. And at least at the meeting that have been held to try and rationalize, try and take a census of the various levies, various taxes and charges imposed at the 3 tiers of government. So capture it so that everybody will now know, and they'll now be able to see where, for instance, you can even have a situation where a state government is imposing what they call business registration, fee. Okay? And the local government is imposing a license for business registration.
Yes.
So why should? Because at the end of the day, a local government is a subset of a state in terms of territorial boundaries. Yes. So why should a local government impose a contradictory levy
when
or charge?
It's already collecting.
So that shouldn't be, because 2 tiers of government cannot be performing the same function. Just like you will see now, say something like corporate income tax.
Yes.
It's exclusive to federal.
Yes.
Even though the companies operate across the country.
Yeah.
But they don't want double dipping. The Federal Revenue Service, acting as agent of federal government, is the sole body collecting corporate income tax in Nigeria.
Yes.
To the exclusion of any other tier of government.
Yes.
Then when it comes to personal income tax, each state restricts itself to citizens resident within the state boundaries. they cannot impose tax on or collect tax on any person living outside the territorial boundary. Once residency defines jurisdiction. Now, it doesn't matter that individual crisscrosses from one state to the other, but where does he live? Now, for Federal Inland Revenue Service as the tax authority for federal government, it can only collect personal income tax of individuals resident in Federal Capital Territory, for which it is the tax authority. It cannot collect that of individuals outside FCT. That should give you a clear sense of what we're talking about.
You mentioned Act number 21 of 1998.
Yes.
Is it still relevant today?
Absolutely, in a federation like Nigeria. Otherwise, it will be a madhouse. Even though we're already having challenges in implementation and compliance of the laws as they are today. And that's why people are talking about multiple taxation. People are talking about double taxation. There is a lot of, if you like, I call it, indiscipline. Even though we're in a federal, state, and therefore there's some kind of, going by fiscal federalism, concept. Every state should be autonomous. But then autonomy. State A, autonomy. State B, autonomy. Somebody is passing through my state. I pin him down. I want to collect tax. The man is not living in my state. You're driving from Lagos to Anambra State, for instance. You are living in Lagos State. They talk about radio license. Fine, good. You come to Ogun State, there's demand for radio license. Yaka radio license. You enter Ondo State, they demand for it. Ondo State, they demand for it. And you're only passing through.
Where is soccer for the man? For the ordinary man?
So, if you say the tax and levies approval list for collection is not more relevant, then it's an invitation to chaos and anarchy.
No, you see, I'm not saying that it's not relevant. I'm saying that they are not respecting it. The other day, our own crew, the crew of Tax Matters, because of logistics, time constraints, they had to take broadcast tapes to NTA Ilorin, NTA Akure, NTA Osogbo. And as they were entering Kwara State, they stopped them. And they gave them a long list amounting to 22,000 naira. And they called from that place. And we asked to speak to the gentleman. They refused to speak to me. One thing led to the other. We called the chairman of the Kwara State Board of Internal Revenue. He could not help. We called another person. Eventually, they took them to the local government. And luckily, the man in the office there agreed to speak to me. And I told him, we are residents in Lagos. These are boys working for a media house. The man said, so what can we give them? I said, we are not going to give you anything. This program actually is Tax Matters. I think reason prevailed, and the man let them go. But they spent 6 hours. 6 hours. So, where is help for, I'm not saying the common man in terms of a poor man. You, me, where is help coming from?
It's unfortunate. It's either people are proving, what I call it now, defiant, pretending that they don't hear, and then it comes to the proverbial language of dialogue of the deaf. They know the truth, or they may be ignorant.
They know the truth. They say that local governments are under pressure to raise revenue. I'm
going to come to that particular issue. The under pressure, then must you not do anything? Like at Lagos State stakeholders conference that they normally hold every year. I was invited as a guest speaker. Unfortunately, the governor had left, and I said that the so-called issue of multiple taxation is not on in Lagos State. And I said that's all well and good. Lagos has of all the states, some states are trying to come on board, like River State, to pass a legislation equivalent of approval list for collection.
Yes,
they have done so. Not only have they passed approval list for collection in Lagos, act or law, between the state and local governments, but also go further to enter into an MOU with the local governments, so that those criss-cutting taxes, levies, instead of everybody running after the same taxpayer, why don't you streamline it? Let one entity that has a wider coverage. In this particular case, it is a cross-cutting, levy or charge. So let the state Internal Revenue Service be the person to collect, and then at the end of the day, with under an agreed formula, you share the revenue and save all of us a lot of energy and bad blood among those of us as revenue authorities, and also among the citizens that have to pay all these nuisances called levies and charges. At the end of the day, you end up even collecting more.
Yes.
That comes into the coffers of the state and local government, rather than most of it enter into private pockets.
Every day, my people they for work. Some they do office work, some get it them own business. So all of them want good road, constant power for better life. Oh, whether now office work, oh yeah, pay your tax. Whether now your own business, oh, pay your tax. If you want a better life, oh, pay your tax. Now your civic responsibility, pay your tax. Better soup, now money cook am. Oh yes. Nothing goes for nothing, my brother. If you want potable water, security and hospital for make life jolly.
That's right. Good roads, good hospitals, potable water, adequate security all come from taxpayers' money. Play your part in making Nigeria great. Everybody, small scale, big companies, entrepreneurs, do the right thing. Pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS.
Welcome back. The program is still Tax Matters, and we are looking at taxes in Nigeria, user charges, levies, and taxes. And in the first part, Mr. Dike eloquently distinguished between user charges, levies, and taxes. Now, there are various taxes. Which ones would you refer to as the major taxes in Nigeria, the common ones?
I think there are broadly two categories of taxes. We have what they call the direct taxes and indirect taxes. Okay. Direct taxes are taxes that are imposed generally on income, economic activity of individuals, and indirect taxes are those that are paid indirectly by so-called. In other words, then it is not imposed directly, but more or less on consumption or expenditure, related, taxes. So if you talk about, direct taxes, you talk about income tax.
Yeah.
And, you earn income, and they say you have to pay tax on that income you have earned, whether it is personal income tax or company's income tax or petroleum profit tax. Profit tax is a specialized income tax, as it were. Or you talk about capital gains tax.
Yes.
Okay? Which is, again, a direct tax because it is imposed on income. Sorry, income and from disposal of capital items, like fixed assets and property. All right. When you talk about indirect tax, they say you pay the tax indirectly. They are tied to the expenditure, VAT, a big one. You don't go to the tax office and say you are paying VAT. No, it has to be related to, the consumption of an item. You go to market or supermarket to buy some items that are available. They add that VAT to the item. Custom duties, import duties. They are all, indirect taxes. Okay. And they say that they're easier to collect than direct taxes.
Okay. Now, let's look at them one by one. You've mentioned quite a few. Personal income tax. What law governs that in this country?
Personal Income Tax Act, 2004, Law of Federation of Nigeria, as amended, most recently in 2011. And it's payable by individuals resident in the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
That law is a unique law to us. Yes. It's a federal law, but the states collect the taxes. Why that?
Not only states, jointly and separately by both the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the states, each according to the jurisdiction. Federal Inland Revenue Service with respect to all individuals resident in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, as well as armed forces and police personnel for peculiarity of their circumstances, highly itinerant, foreign affairs officers, Nigerian foreign affairs officers, who, by reason of their posting outside Nigeria, are deemed to be resident of Nigeria, wherever they are in our embassy. And then,
because that embassy is our territory.
It's our territory. Non-resident persons who earn income from Nigeria, that comes under the federal jurisdiction for collection. So most of the thing is that it's for collection. The authority to impose tax is federal, but the states, the various states, including the federal, they now assess and collect in accordance with that law. The issue is to bring about uniformity.
Uniformity.
In law and in practice, because there is mobility of people. Today you are in Lagos State. Tomorrow you are in Ogun State, Abuja. Another day you are in Benin, Edo State.
Next year, Sokoto.
Even the same year, you can have movement in the same year.
4 times.
Now, and if you don't have a common law for imposition and administration of the tax, you're going to have a chaos.
Is it working like that? If I want something in River State,
we prescribe what is a common standard. Whether it is working is another issue.
No,
it is because of human error. Human error and the idiosyncrasy.
If I pay in Sokoto, if I work for the Nigeria Customs Service or for the Federal Ministry of Works, and I pay my personal income tax in Sokoto, if I get to Abeokuta and I want something from them, like there was a time in Lagos State when if you were apprehended for a traffic offense, they will ask for your tax clearance certificate. If I was ordinarily resident in Sokoto and I come into Lagos and they apprehend me for a traffic offense, will they accept the tax clearance certificate from Sokoto?
Why not? We are still one country. Why not? You're not a resident of Lagos State, so why must Lagos refuse the tax clearance from Sokoto?
So the tax clearance certificate I take in Gombe should be accepted in Bayelsa?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But they find that these provisions are there, but some states are breaching it, all because of Nigerian attitude.
They want to raise revenue. Everybody's talking about raising revenue.
On either side, not only on the part of the revenue agencies, but also on part of individuals. Catch me if you can. Nigerians can do fake a lot of things, can do all sorts of things. Of course, they talk about Olu. People can go and cook up a tax clearance certificate and present. But at the end of the day, I think what is important really is to say we're still one country.
Okay.
And we can still, enhance and maximize our revenue collection, potentials, if and only if we play by the rules, if and only if we cooperate with each other. Let's operate by the rules and then share information.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody has claimed that he does not reside in Lagos for the period in question, and he's residing in Sokoto. Yes, and presents it. All they need to do. Thank God now with TIN, it's easy now for them to go and check. Because if you come to Lagos State from with Gombe tax clearance certificate, and it is entered into the system, and I find out that it is not there, then you are going to even have more. That will be a bigger issue for you. Yeah. But for you now to discountenance tax clearance, which you don't yet have any strong reason to doubt its authenticity, is an assault on a fiscal arrangement that we have in the country.
Chineke me, you don't increase my salary money. No be mistake. Oga accountant do so. Papa Junior, you never hear of Peter. Now the new MD be that. Talk now.
Peter, now Personal Income Tax Amendment Act, where Mr. President just signed for law to better the life of them people, so them to go get more money to enjoy with them family. You see this amended act, they don't reduce the tax with the on top your salary money. they can't increase consolidated allowance money wey we go dey get every month. And you know say na the president wey dey listen fit do better thing for him people.
Ah, Mr. President, you do well, oh. You be like say you dey think of me when you dey sign this bitter. Now I fit do boku things this year. I fit rent shop for Mama Junior, buy textbook for Junior, send money go village, make the thing begin build my house.
So you say I'm the landlord?
Of course. Oh, you think say I call country for here? Peter, Peter, hey, Peter.
JTB, creating a tax-friendly environment.
It's all very interesting, and it's obvious that within the time available to us, we cannot conclude this discussion on this episode. And so this discussion continues next episode. Mr. Dike will still be here, and we'll be talking about the various taxes in Nigeria and the laws governing them. We thank you for watching, and see you around next week. Same station, same day of the week, same time of the day. Thank you for watching.